All right, folks, here we go on the Friday night, a little bit late. Not going to be that long. A little bit of a change in plans, but we are live on this Friday night and want to bring you the latest. The um, the story obviously remains to me remains the same. Don't forget the vigil is tomorrow night. Good evening, everybody. There's Robin. Yes, I know some people we're hoping we're going to ride tonight, but it's just been such a long week. I'm working on two different cases. Whenever we have a situation like what we had, there's Debbie. We no, nope. Does it look like it, Anthony? No, it is not. Nope. It'll return soon. It'll return soon. But I'm juggling so much right now and working on two other cases, and then it just takes up so much time. But did want to get to see everyone tonight. There's Michelle. Happy Friday, one and all, folks. What a week this has been. I did put out a video, and yes, it is, Anthony. And it's very obvious to me, and I want to be very clear about this. Last night, that girl Anna. Yes, there's Lisa. It was the father was upset and trying to say that the girl Anna had nothing to do with it. And I want to be very clear. I believe him. It's not as if I'm saying that, that type of help. I think several things about it, but you got to realize who you're dealing with. And I also, there's so much about this it has been, Susan. Yes, very emotional and stressful. And I also want to add that it doesn't mean like he's an odd guy. And it doesn't mean that in a way, anyone that came in contact with him needed to be cautious. So I wish, young Kylie had never encountered him. He is odd. And just the fact that he's 22 and he meets these two girls, but I think it was disingenuous. We had the father in last night. Well, you know what I mean, in the chat. And you people don't know what you're talking about, or get your facts straight. It doesn't, I want to be it doesn't have to be reciprocal, but it's very obvious that the relationship was strained, and he was making different statements that she was pressuring him, and he did to the police that he was communicating with the friend. And so I can't stress that enough. I'm not alleging that the girl Anna had anything to do with it, but you're talking about someone who's not right in the head to begin with. And to go from no girlfriend to suddenly he feels, he has these two girls and so forth. Hi there, Loretta. There's Jane Rice and Bill. Okay, good, Brenda. Yes, if you can, they would love it if people would go by the vigil. I know, Janet. It was annoying. And to say, I won't get into a big deal, but this one, Anna, she was questioned by police. And from what I understand, it was not a good encounter. And, she said that the police upset her, and the police are trying to get straight answers. I'm not saying that this group is the easiest group maybe to deal with. The whole situation is still tough to rationalize what happened here. But now I also want to touch on, initially I didn't know what to think, but like some of you, I think it's also, again, it can be done in a non-accusatory way, but I also question, I don't know if he had help, but it does seem odd because he doesn't seem, I'm not saying that, I'm not even, I don't know what to think, other than I think it's worth looking into, that the police have said that this is an open investigation. So the police haven't shut the door on that. I saw someone put a comment, enough already. He's locked up. Move on. Well, not so fast. Not so fast on that. And I want to wait and see till the police finish their investigation. Hi there, Cindy Shepard. And there's Dawn. There's Caroline King. Yes. So he does have a blank face. So, and I also go back to, the friend, or supposed to be a friend. So, I'm not sure what to make of it other than, as I said, if you're talking about someone like him who seems odd to begin with, and then suddenly, they're supposed to be friends, and then he admits to the police he was talking to her friend, and we know she drives, kind of like an upgrade in his mind. I think, why did she get it so upset talking to the police? I heard she was crying talking to the police. Why was she crying talking to the police? Why would you be crying? What would be so upsetting with that? I would think that you'd want to help the police in any way possible. Obviously, and I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to react this way because the father was just, you people have no idea what you're talking about and blah, 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 and that type of thing. But it's certainly worth. I don't understand these people that are saying, that's it, move on, nothing to see, like that attitude, nothing to see here. I know, definitely on the slow ride. There were so many people that seemingly, I get that, so you have two 18-year-old girls, and then they meet this guy who's 22. And as I've said, that's not even, she's a college freshman and he's a college senior. He's going to be 23. She's just 18. So he's out of school. I don't like that part of it. But I have a problem with people that, and I don't understand the nature of, why are they in such a hurry that we have to move on from the story? The vigil's tomorrow night. This just happened. And I feel bad. This is obviously, folks, a very difficult time for the family. Very, very difficult time, as you can imagine. And then they're dealing with all kinds of nonsense that I'm not even going to trouble anyone with. I'm also, just so you guys understand, and I kind of went through the timeline. Brother drives, lives there. I don't know. I heard the grandparents. Lisa Marie just said something. I think that's a fair question. No one thought he was acting odd. Why was he out there? Why is he outside all night? Someone early on said, in all honesty, he is nothing to look at. I agree with you, Paul, and let alone, Mr. Popular's got two girls fighting over him, so to speak. I mean, it's really sad. But I think Lisa is right with the brother does own the property. Christine, that is really important. So I think that's really interesting and terrible, Brill. They do. Move on. It's over. They're like, not so. We'll move on when the police say the investigation is closed. When the police say the investigation is closed, but the friend was talking to Greg Groom, the boyfriend. So, and I don't know if I believe that. Hi there, Heather. This thing of yes, that is a very good point. Should have asked, what I find is on a lot of my social media, some of her friends are coming out. And now some of her friends are, oh, Anna had a boy. Like, it's so ridiculous. No one seemed to do anything. No one seemed to do anything. And as far as the friends, if any of them had any hint, did anyone speak out and say, I don't think this is a good idea? Supposedly, there's Big Mike. Mike Ahern jumps in on the Friday night. I I mean, and then you have like some of her friends are just telling everyone to stop talking about it, and they're trying to put out things about. I have a problem with, and I'm not going to mention specific people because then they run with that, that I mention them. But there's some of her friends that are putting out videos of themselves crying about it. And obviously, it's okay to be upset, but who's the victim here? She's the victim. She's the victim. I don't know why any of their why some of her, and I get it. They're very young and obviously very immature, as we found as we spoke with one of her friends. And then I wasn't going to say anything, but some of the friends of hers that I was trying to communicate with, I totally recognize that they're young and they're immature and this is hard. But I'll share with you, they were very difficult to, there's little Kylie, very difficult to try to communicate with. And this one friend, I won't say who, it's a male, but I won't say, we were talking offline, obviously. And I was saying, if maybe you have information, do you want to come on and just speak about her? And he was saying, you don't understand what this is doing to me. And I, yeah, but you're alive and you're fine. Your friend is missing. So all of this posting videos of himself crying about it, um, she's the one that, I know, terrible. Hi there, Tyler. I know. That's the thing, Loretta. It is just brutal. But so for those going to the vigil, I don't know what to make of some of that. Now, as I've said, I have family involved. I want to answer that. Why didn't any family members take her in or call police when she said she was strangled by him? Because that apparently the girl that claimed that did not say anything to her mother when it happened. I think that's what it is, Janet. They didn't want to answer you or show messages. And this, boy, I don't know how friendly he was with her, not friendly, but to me, there's a victim here. The victim is obviously Kylie. The victim is also, I feel terrible for her sisters and family. But as far as the friends, and I get it that they're 18 and they can't believe this has happened. So thank you. I appreciate that. But there's an element here of people that try to make themselves look at me. I'm so overwhelmed by this news and I'm crying because they hurt my friend. And okay, but what did you do to try to help your friend? It does, Garney. What did you try to do when your friend, like, obviously, to me, she didn't have a very good friend group. Um, I know. I know, Tina, especially the friend she has. The boyfriend is saying, well, I was talking to her friend to try to help me with the relationship. That wasn't it. Yeah, how'd that work out? I mean, it is, again, and I understand, the sisters that we've talked to. I really like Kitty. She's living in Florida. The parents are deceased. She's living in Florida. Faith was going to school. Faith has a child. Faith is in a relationship with a really nice guy. And then you have the youngest, Kylie. But I know. Well, it's not a matter of that, Tracy. So there was I know, Tracy, but I, sometimes someone who's 18, even though they're 18, they can be very hard to help. And I think I'm not going to point any fingers at the family. We heard like we heard, it was just a week ago, we heard from Mama Bear, the friend's mother. She called there early July. Early July. So in early July, the boyfriend is talking to, in early July, the boyfriend, Greg, is talking to the friend, Anna. So they're talking, and suddenly Kylie has no place to stay. So what does she do? As we've kind of went through, she called Mama Bear and said, "Can I come and stay with you and her friend for 3 days?" And that's when the friend's mother said, "Well, why don't you go stay at Crossroads?" That I said, which is just unimaginable. And Sister Haley. But from what I understand, and I'm not trying to leave out Sister Haley, but from what I understand, Haley has her own challenges, to put it honest with you. Well, on it, that's a good question, Trisha Ann. That's a really good question. And these were people that, yeah, to be honest with you, Kylie, Jessica Perry, go stay at Crossroads. I will never forget that conversation. See, that's part of the problem. From what I understand, obviously, and again, I say this a couple things. For instance, it's very possible that this was a love triangle where he suddenly had a crush on her friend. And normally that would be typical teenage drama, right? Where he suddenly doesn't like this one, he likes that one. Although he's not a teen, his girlfriend, the one in the middle, is pregnant, and on top of that, then he killed her. Otherwise, this would just be dismissed as total drama. So I put this. This sounds like a love triangle. There's no other girls that we've heard of that this guy seems like, if you communicate with him, like these guys that they go, and if the waitress makes conversation, they think the waitress likes them, like that type. I mean, he certainly seems that type. So I said this could be a love triangle. And then some woman commented, well, that's not a reason to kill him. Well, listen, there's no legitimate reason. I'm not saying there's no legitimate reason. But the love triangle seems like a motive. He suddenly starts talking to the friend who drives. And at the same time, Kylie is saying that she's calling, seeing if she can stay with Mama Bear. So now at that time, by the way, I don't think anyone knew that she was pregnant. Must have been early on. So he's thinking he's ready to move on from her and go with the friend. Definitely Lynn Miller. You don't have to say that at all. The friend definitely dodged a bullet. This guy. I know. That's the problem. And it is a problem. Yes. It is a problem. I say, Kylie, why not go stay at Crossroads? Good God. Crossroads. That's the friend. Fucking A. Jesus. Crossroads. It's the equivalent of, like, screw. It was actually the friend saying, to be honest with you, now, a little context. Who is Jacob? All right, I'll ask the question. Why do you ask that? I know, Jessica Perry. So when someone's going to ask a question, it would help with a little context. Who is Jacob? All right, I'll play. Why do you ask? So they are hagbags, Jessica. Terrible. Listen, I feel terrible for, as I said, for, you better hope your daughter never needs a place to stay. Well, she was staying with the aunt. His name was brought up in documents. What type of documents? Do you mean a police report or documents? There could be different. Oh, Anna and Jacob. Supposedly she has a boyfriend. Okay, that's possible. Okay. But I don't know. I mean, it sounds court documents. Okay. But it sounds as though, like I said, it doesn't mean that it was reciprocated. Yes, reciprocal. Him suddenly saying, I think I like someone else. Keep in mind that when he was talking with her, they didn't know that Kylie was then pregnant. Yes, I get that. Well, the whole thing with the court documents, I feel terrible that some people were posting. Yes, that's right. That's how they met at the park. There were some people posting information about the family, but these are the types of people that, yes, these are some of the people who, like, they were posting personal information about Faith and the family. It's terrible. But these are people who, they stumble into this stuff. They don't know that you're not supposed to publish that stuff, and then they're posting that stuff. What we know is, and I want to be very clear, that yes, yeah, wanted to see proof. Well, there's other information we know about that, Amanda. I know, but he's also a liar. He also said he didn't know where she was. He also um, said that, listen, today's Friday. Last Sunday, he told the family he wanted to go and look for her. He is what you're looking at. Exactly, Michelle. Leave the family alone. I mean, there are people online posting information about Faith, her sister, who is crushed, who is hurting. And these idiots are posting personal information about her. And I can't stand it. So, yes, I've heard that. I've heard that, by the way. The aunt and uncle, very good people. She's been with them since 2019. See, that's the thing, Christine. You're right. I have heard that. Yes, that's true. The grandparents did refer to Anna as Greg's girlfriend. Chuck brings up something. See, that's something that he may have mentioned. That I'm not saying that Anna liked Greg, but she shouldn't have been communicating with him behind Kylie's back. And a guy like this, any indication obviously gives him the wrong impression. So that's exactly right, Robin. Faith did the best she could. This is very tough. These people that he was, and she could have been needy. She could have been very needy. But he was also, keep in mind, he's trying to put it off like, hey, I wanted nothing to do with this girl. I know, Evelyn. These people. See, this is the conspiracy crowd that, admittedly, I don't like the conspiracy crowd. And to me, if you're part of the conspiracy crowd, I don't want to, I don't care, Amanda. I really don't. You know, these are people that Faith seems very genuine. I agree. I have the videos. Good. I mean, that's fine, Amanda, and you can watch that. But like I said, that's the conspiracy crowd. I got involved with this. See, that's the problem, Garney. An 18-year-old, maybe they do think that. I know. And he will now just be charged. He will not be charged for the death of the infant. See, that's the thing. And that's why, as I have stated, I have no use for the conspiracy crowd. I told you Tuesday night they were trying to find a way. We got to find a way to link this to the Massachusetts State Police, and we got to come up with a conspiracy here, and blah blah blah. And as I've said, admittedly, I don't like that crowd. I don't like that crowd. I think they do a lot of damage, and I have no use for that crowd. And there are some people that still, they see, to me, you can't turn it on, turn it off. I'm that's me. Maybe other people can look past it. But to me, when you start to go down that road and they start trying to connect dots that don't exist or don't belong, I have a problem with it. Folks, we got involved with it. A family member contacted me, and the next day, after speaking with some, actually, I also spoke with police that first night, or police sources that I have. And the next day, for all I knew, that next Wednesday, she was going to turn up. She was hiding somewhere. She had been kidnapped. She got on a bus and was somewhere else. That Thursday, Friday, the whole reason why we got involved was to just try to draw awareness that she was missing. It is, but they're not going to, Jackie. We've learned that they're not going to. I know, I know, Ellen, but that's also Massachusetts. So, but I want to be very clear. That was the involvement. And then, as you guys know, we were really doing it. There's a missing person, put the word out. I know what it's like for the family. I went through this with the Charlotte Lester case. They were very frustrated when the media left in droves. Charlotte had not been found. We went through that with the case with Michelle. Where then, same thing. Then they couldn't get any attention. So that was horrible. They were trying to get Channel 10 and Channel 12 to cover the story. They would not cover it. And obviously we did. I didn't know where this was going to lead. And then last Friday night, we're talking with the family and then the friends. And all I try to do is use the platform. At least someone could say to me, if I had a family member missing, I would hate for someone to say, I didn't even know they were missing or something like that. So with the platforms, we try to raise awareness. That was it. I had no idea where this was going to go. But, and we obviously, no one wanted, it's just such a lousy turnout. It is. It's just such a horrible ending to this. And I feel terrible for the sisters. They've been through a lot. They've lost both their parents. Now they lose their younger sister through, thank you, Ellen, through a horrible situation. So, and again, folks, well, I've already said, Lynn, they're not going to charge him. They're not going to charge him. So they're not waiting for anything. He will not be charged for that. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I admit thank you. I appreciate that, Janet. I don't understand these people, but it's the conspiracy crowd. They start coming out of the woodwork. And I'm not dismayed by it. Thank you, Denise. And they just start, he's saying, and it's just so, I know, very, very difficult. But I've heard they're not going to charge him with that. They're not. So now listen, it's as I've said. Thank you, Anastasia. And we learn from doing it. Thank you, Anastasia. You learn from doing it. And like right now, there is a boy missing in Barrington, but that to me, we don't know what that is, but it doesn't sound like a kidnapping. It doesn't sound like a kidnapping. Thank you very much, Evelyn. I appreciate that. I don't like some people, late to the party and then they just start jumping into it. But I know I already know the answer. They're not dealing with the family. They're not dealing with the family. And you try to be very sensitive to the family. I, I'm still very friendly with Charlotte Lester's family and Michelle's family. And then, there's just certain ones you can tell, like I've talked about, the situation with Linda, that was literally every hour counted, and we weren't wrong. Who knows what could have happened if she had not been found? Or then, as you guys know, even the police pointed out the amount of coverage. So, but there's nothing good that comes out. This is one of those stories. This is real life. There's no conspiracy here. The police weren't involved in it. These people that try to drum up stuff. This has nothing to do with Sandra Birchmore. It has nothing to do with a New England serial killer. I am telling you, I can't deal with these types of people. So it's, yes, I know. Thank you, Janet. Terrible. Yeah. Well, we had an attorney on, and then I have heard in checking into it that it is, in fact, they're not going to charge him with this. They're not going to charge him with this. So, yes. And so, and again, as I've also stated, Trish is saying, yes, I believe so, Trish. I believe so. And it's also Massachusetts. Like I've said, it'd be different if it was, there are certain states that might. So now look at this. See, look at the people that come out of the woodwork. See, there's another there. Here we go. This is the conspiracy people. There you go for all to see. See, this is the Karen Reed crowd. These are the people. They're trying to free Brian Walsh. See what I mean? They're demented. They're conspiracy. They're they're also they look at that. Free Greg. Can you imagine? Who would think something like that? See, that's the Karen Reed crowd. Unbelievable. If you don't, I try to tell people sometimes you have to like see it for your own eyes. It's so frightening. I know. They are hagbags. They're total hagbags. So, but see, watch, they're doing this with Brian Walsh. And it's so crazy. I know. He doesn't. But they are. See, because they want I deleted it. They do, Trisha Ann. They do. So I'm not going to go down the whole road, but there was the trooper. I know, and I'm not going to. There was it is disgusting. There was the trooper that I know. You're right, Evelyn. You're exactly right. But that's also Massachusetts. That's Massachusetts. So thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. It is it's also I'm not going to go down the whole rabbit hole of the Karen Reed situation. I'm not going to do that. They are, Susie. I'm telling you. But that's much like because the investigator, Michael Trooper Proctor, because he was the investigator on Brian Walsh, who by all accounts, the evidence killed his wife, Anna, because he was the trooper on the Karen Reed case, they want Brian Walsh to go free. It doesn't make any sense to me either. In fact, I think it's nuts. It's nuts. And I have no patience for them. But I don't know what to make of it either. I know. Yeah, they are. See, that's the thing. When you realize that, Michelle, it's all anti-police. It's always anti-police, which then I thought was so no, they feel that way. And I'm telling you, I know I don't know who that is. I know he did. Last one. Who was the last one? Killed her in the house. Dismembered her. Terrible. You don't even like to think about that type of thing. But they want there is. They want him free. I'm telling you, I don't even like to dwell on it because it's so crazed. And like I said, it makes me uncomfortable that there are people like that. And I'm in communication with some of her friends. And they were asking me, they're not in the Northeast. They were friends of hers. They worked with her and they were friendly with her in DC. She would fly out on Sunday nights or Monday and then fly back on Friday and see the boys and hated being away from them and wanted to move them to DC. And so he killed her. And so they asked me, like, who are these people saying that they want him to go free? And I said, it's too long to get into. I know. It doesn't make sense because it doesn't make sense. It's insanity. And we don't like to dwell on it, but I think it's worth pointing out. But look at the pattern as we've talked about it. Oh, good. Good. Thank you. That's good to know. That's good, Samantha. Good. And Rehoboth police did a great job. They will. Yes. No. There's no capital punishment in Mass. There just isn't. Brian Walsh, there's something wrong with him. The beautiful young wife, he met her. She was like a waitress. He pretended he had money. He gets her pregnant. Suddenly they have 3 kids. She realizes he's a fraud and a bum.
She wants to get away from him. He was so supposed to go to prison, and he killed her. I'm telling you, Michelle. They don't. They don't. They're another breed. It's. I don't know what to make of them. I mean, it's not enough to just say cultish. They're definitely anti-police. They're anti-police. They're very conspiracy oriented, and they have said they I don't know, they're rooting for Brian Walsh to get away with it. And we've seen the pattern. Who was the last one with Anna Walsh? Brian Walsh. Who was the last one with Lacey Peterson? Scott Peterson. Who was the last one with Natalie Holloway? Who was the last one with Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman? Who was the last one with John O'Keefe? Who was the last one with Charlotte Lester? Very common. Casey Anthony, these these murders. It is normally the last person. Who was the last person with Sandra Birchmore? And it's that cop Fowell. So terrible. They do. Yeah, it's bizarre. Yeah, the New Hampshire stuff. I don't get that. I don't get that. This year started off with the West Greenwich guy who took the life of the wife and the children, and then right after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's. It was just so disturbing. It is. You can't dwell on it too much. They are, Robin. Yeah, very, very odd. So I don't know what to make of it. But now, when they then hear of this, they come around, right? Like, I'll admit, I was hoping for a good outcome, hopefully a good ending, much like Linda. Who knows? Maybe she took off. Today is Friday. It's Friday night. Sunday night, we had Kitty on. She said, I think my sister is alive somewhere out there. I mean, that's ideally the outcome. This is a different crowd. This crowd, they show up when they hear there's been a grisly murder. And they then go into it like that. I don't know what to make of it. I don't. It's an odd group. It is. So, oh wow. I'm sorry to hear that, Denise. Oh, West Greenwich, terrible. You just don't understand it. Oh my goodness. Why can't I escape this? Set up by who? Why? What was the motive? When can I get past this crowd? Set up by who? Do we really have to relive this? Why did she say I hit him? Why did she say I left him at the waterfall? Why did she say I think a snowplow killed him? Why did she say those things? They don't, Anastasia. Like that person. I think she was no weapon, no. Listen, if you really want to know, I know. Hoping she was holding as a hostage. No, they don't do something like that. Tragically, they don't. I wish they did as well. So, no, he wasn't holding her hostage. I know, we should, Evelyn. Some of them I have hope for. I hope that maybe their eyes get open, like, hey, wait a minute. Why did she keep changing her story? Hey, wait a minute. How come? No, that's all right, Robin. How come? Wait a minute. How come she didn't blame Brian Higgins initially? And then she did. Why did she say he got killed by a snowplow? Why did she say he was in the basement, now the garage? Why does she keep changing her story? Who was the last person with him? I appreciate that. But I'll tell you, it's and I want you to, I appreciate that. Of course she did. She said she hit him. Remember, the expression, when people tell you and show you who they are, believe them. Yes, I know. There's my friend Danny Gannon. There he is. Danny, yep. No need to block. No need to block. No, you can't. I want to give credit to Danny Gannon. By the way, I owe Danny a phone call. He did call me and I did not return the phone call. It was unusual, but I've been working on another case. So I know.
I know. But Danny Gannon, I want to give credit, folks. We had him on during Charlotte Lester. I want to have him on more often. He is the one. He said, I'm going to put what he put. I'm going to put they, and we said this during the course of the coverage. They go where they know. What does that mean? It means, with the case of Mark Perkins, there, I'm highlighting, they go where they know. With Mark Perkins, he knew that spot for whatever, wilderness. In this situation, I know. Oh, well, I'm not getting into that. We're not going to get into it. I didn't know. Maybe there's more of them than I thought. But I know. We can't. I can't. No, I am not. As I've said, Samantha, at least 20 times, but I'll repeat it one more time. I have family in town. We've had a summer gathering planned for quite some time. So whether it was happening Saturday night or not happening Saturday night, as I've already stated, I said on Monday that I could not go, or Tuesday, whenever we came up with it. But look at how, should I look at the way it's phrased? Will you be there to support the family and loved ones? I mean, I worked nonstop on it more than anybody. Was that not enough? Was that not showing support? Was that not enough? So when I was posting and talking about it nonstop and keeping attention, was that wasn't enough support? I have to go tomorrow night. Yes. Thank you, Robin. It's never enough. See what I mean? It's never enough. But Danny Gannon, hi there, Ginger. They go where they know. And with this, he went, where did he know? With unable to drive. How many times did I say that? 22 and couldn't drive. That's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. Yep. I don't know who's going to show up. Thank you, Samantha. Yes, it will be. All right. All right, folks, listen, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If something dramatic happens tomorrow, we'll go to it. Otherwise, say a prayer, not only for Kylie, but for her family as well. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Remember, power of prayer. Enjoy this Friday night.